In this video, you'll see how to convert fractions to decimals and decimals to fractions. So let's first look at converting decimals to fractions. In order to do this, we say the decimal. The name of the last place is the denominator of your fraction. And then we reduce this fraction if we can. So the first decimal is 17 hundredths. So since the place value of the 7 there is in the hundredths place, my denominator is 100, and 17 is my numerator, and that cannot be reduced. My second decimal is 13 and 8 tenths. So I write 13 as my whole number and 8 over 10. This fraction can be reduced down to 13 and 4/5. Next, we want to look at some friendly fractions that we can change to decimals. Okay, and these are friendly fractions because the denominators are both powers of 10, and that makes them friendly. So for this, we want to say the fraction. The name of the denominator is the last place of our decimal. So 7 and 9 tenths. Again, 7 is my whole number piece, and this is 9 tenths. And then 79 1,000ths. If I have a decimal that ends in the thousandths place, that's 3 places after the decimal point. So my 9 goes in that last place, followed by my 7. So there's 79. Because I have this empty spot in the tenths place, I fill that in with a 0. And this is the decimal 79 thousandths. And these are the friendly-ish fractions we want to change to decimals. And they're friendly-ish because it's easy to change the fraction to a friendly fraction. So it's easy to change this so that the denominator is a power of 10. 3/5, I can multiply the numerator and denominator both by 2, and I change that to 6 tenths, which is equal to 0.6. 12 and 8/25, if I multiply the numerator and the denominator by 4, I get 12 and 32 hundredths, and I would write that as 12.32. And these are the unfriendly fractions. They're not easy to change into friendly fractions. Okay? And so for any fraction that you want to change to a decimal, all you need to do is divide. And sometimes it's difficult to remember how to divide them. So what I try to remember to do is if I turn this fraction clockwise, I see that here on the outside my divisor is the 8, and the inside my dividend is the 7. So if I'm going to take 7 divided by 8, I know 8 doesn't go into 7, so I'm going to add a 0 here. Okay? And 8 goes into 70. It goes into 70 8 times. Okay, 8 times 8 is 64. 70 minus 64 is 6. Okay, I'm going to add another 0 here to bring down. But if I add a 0 to my dividend, I also must add a 0 to this partial quotient out here, because 8 times 80 is 640. Okay, now I think to myself, how many times will 8 go into 60? We'll go in 7 times. 8 times 7 is 56. 60 minus 56 is 4. Again, I want to add a 0 here that I can bring down. But now I have to add zeros to each of these numbers here. And 8 goes into 40 5 times. And when I subtract, I get no remainder. So my answer here is 875. But since I added 3 zeros here, that means I have 3 zeros, or 3 decimal places in my answer. So I have 1, 2, 3 decimal places. My decimal goes right here. 7/8 is equal to 0.875. Okay, and this next example, again, trying to think how to set up this fraction. I want to turn it clockwise to the side, and I can see I want 33 as my dividend and 40 as my divisor. Okay? 33 divided by 40. 40 doesn't go into 33, so I'm going to add a 0. Bring up my decimal. 40 goes into 330 8 times. 8 times 40 is 320. 330 minus 320 is 10. I need to add another 0 to bring down. 40 goes into 800 twice. 100 minus 80 is 20. Need to bring down another 0. And 40 goes into 200 5 times. 5 times 40 is 200. No remainder. So 33 40ths is equal to 825 thousandths. And on this last page is a page for you to practice. After I'm done talking, you can hit pause and then try these problems, and then I will put the answers up for you and can check to see how well you can convert fractions and decimals. This number here is 71 hundredths, so I just write 71 over 100. And number 2, the 3 is in the 10 thousandths place, so that's my denominator, 10,000, and I write 13 up above in my numerator. And in number 3, my whole number is 4. It's 4 and 22 hundredths, and that could be reduced to 4 and 11 50ths. Number 4 is a friendly fraction, 49 hundredths. I write it just as it sounds, 49 hundredths. Number 5 is a friendly-ish fraction. I can change the denominator to a power of 10 by multiplying it by 4. So I must also multiply the numerator by 4. I get 16 hundredths, 0.16. Number 6 is also a friendly-ish fraction. If I take 200 times 5, I'm also going to multiply the numerator by 5. I get 2 and 55 thousandths. So my decimal is going to be 2 point. My final 5 has to be in the thousandths place, so that's the thousandths, that's the hundredths. I need a 0 here for the tenths place, 2.055. And the last one is an unfriendly fraction. I'm going to divide 9 divided by 16. 16 goes into 90 5 times. 16 goes into 100 6 times. 16 goes into 40 twice. And 16 goes into 80 5 times. So 9/16 is equal to 0.5625. And that is how you convert fractions to decimals. Hope you got all of these right.